Hi everybody, today I'm going to be doing a short review of the Kershaw Pico. It's a Les George designed small assisted opening frame lock flipper and this knife is now discontinued. It'll also be illegal in the UK soon since it's an assisted opening knife, so this review is not going to be particularly useful to a lot of people. That's why I'm going to try and keep it fairly short. So we'll start off with the size like usual. We have a blade length of 2.875 inches. It is against a Spyderco UK PK. See very similar dimensions there. Here's an open eel number 8, which you can see is considerably larger. And Ontario Rat Model 1. There we go. And why not a QSP Parrot as well. There we go. It's 6.75 inches overall. Not too dissimilar to the QSP Parrot. Not too dissimilar to the Spyderco UK PK either. However, it weighs 4.61 ounces. And that makes it heavier than the 3.5 inch bladed Kershaw Bare Knuckle. It makes it heavier than the 3.5 inch bladed CGRB Rampart, and it actually makes it almost exactly the same weight as the ZT0055, which is a huge amount bigger in most dimensions, including thickness, blade length, cutting edge, blade thickness. Yeah. This is a very, very heavy knife for its size, but we'll come back to that later. Now it's a Kershaw, so it's backed up by a fairly good warranty. Had a torsion bar on one of these break, and they did replace it, and they sent me a spare as well, which is nice. But because I was in the UK, Kershaw wouldn't ship the parts directly to me, which I don't particularly like. So I had to go through a wholesaler in the UK who were not as fast as they should have been. The whole process ended up taking about 6 months, which is really not particularly great for two small bent pieces of metal. That's it. If you're in the US though, you can ignore that because they'll send it straight to you. And if you're in the UK, you can also ignore that because they won't be legal here soon anyway. So as I mentioned, this knife is assisted. All assisted opening Kershaws are marked as speed safe. You can see that written just beneath Kershaw here. It's an easy and quick way to tell. I have a separate video on how that works, so I won't get into it in this review, but the opening and closing are as you'd expect from a speed safe knife. It's fine, I won't mention any more about that. Now the Pico is a steel frame lock. There is no lock bar insert and no over travel stop, although the clip will act to some extent as an over travel stop. The lockup is at about 40% and the lock is very easy to release. There is only a very small amount of blade play, which is not great. It is there, not really an issue, and the blade is quite well centered. The whole handle is made of steel. It's a steel handle scale, a steel liner, and a steel frame lock, and that's what's leading to this knife being as heavy as it is. It does have a plastic backspacer. The blade is 8CR13 MOV, which is not a particularly great steel. The edge retention is pretty poor. It is quite stainless though, and it is very easy to sharpen. The blade shape is very standard. It's surprised me though that it is hollow grimmed and it's fairly thin behind the edge. It cuts better than I expected it to. The build quality here is not exceptional. It's certainly not dangerously bad, but there's definitely other companies doing better for the same money as this. The pocket clip is pretty good. It's deep carry, it's reversible, it has recessed screws so it won't snag up on your pocket too much. However, there's a big lanyard hole sticking up above the pocket clip. So where on a deep carry knife like this ZT, you see nothing with it clipped in your pocket, you see only the clip on the outside. With this deep carry clip, you're going to see the clip on the outside and a lanyard hole sticking up. In my opinion, that just completely defeats the purpose of a deep carry clip. Now, like I mentioned at the start, this is a Les George design. As such, it's a good functional shape. It's ergonomic. There's no real hot spots. It bugs me a bit how much the pivot screw sticks out. I don't know if you... Yeah, there you go. How much the pivot screw sticks up above the handle of the knife. But that's certainly not a functional problem. And there is some jimping on the spine of the knife, which is quite well done, quite nice and grippy. So, the MSRP of these knives in the US was around $50, and that puts it squarely in CGRB territory, which is, in my opinion, a dangerous place for this knife to be. With a CGRB, you're going to get usually a manual action knife on ceramic bearings with a D2 blade. That's a far more impressive spec sheet than the Kershaw Pico here. It is also considerably larger and lighter. So I would definitely go with the CGRB. However, when these knives were getting discontinued, they were marked down quite drastically, and they were down to about $18. And that puts up against stuff like the QSP Parrot, which was currently in the US $20, over here they're about £18. And the QSP Parrot is a manual action knife with a 440C blade. I'd consider 440C to be slightly better than 8CR13 MOV, holds an edge a little bit longer, not a huge amount, but a little bit longer. It also has a longer cutting edge than than the Kershaw Pico, and it's considerably lighter. So again, in this case, even though I prefer the design of the Pico, I would choose the QSP Parrot. Now, in conclusion, it is a passable knife. There's nothing dangerous or especially wrong with this knife. I just don't think it can keep up with the competition now. The knife world has come on a huge way in recent years, and knives like this for $20 would have been unheard of a little while ago. So I don't really think it can keep up now. Kershaw, however, have a lot of brilliant knives which are not discontinued and you can actually still buy, like the Kershaw Bare Knuckle, which I already have a review out of, like the Kershaw Decimus, which there'll be a review of coming, and the Kershaw Knockout, which there will also be a review of coming. If you're looking for specifically a Kershaw of about similar size that's a flipper, I would have a look at the Atmos and the Fraction. They're both going to be lighter than this, same blade steel, and they're both going to be manual action knives. So that's it for today, folks. Thanks for watching. Bye.